Food prices could skyrocket, and farmers blame water management. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's look at this article from news.com.au. Farmers call for action on water as Australian food prices rise, and we've been discussing this more and more, where, well, inflation is starting to manifest in the cost of food, even in beef. And often that's, well, the ramifications of the drought. People have had to sell their stock, their cattle, and now they're rebuilding up their herd. But the issue is, in some regards, water. Now, I've talked about this a couple of years ago now. I did a video in 2019 looking at Australia's population growth outstripping our water supply, and you can find that video on my channel, or I will link to it here. But one of the issues is, since 2000, we've had a 1.21% increase, give or take, in our potable water. But we've had a 25% increase in our population. Our infrastructure hasn't kept up, everyone. It has not kept up. And if anything, it's going to get harder and harder to build dams. A lot of dams are getting built. A lot of them are for mines in the middle of nowhere. So, Aussie farmers say family budgets could soon come under strain from just staple ingredients as dire reports tip a hike in food prices. This is written by Jack Painter. So, Aussie farmers say predicted food price hikes could be exacerbated by poor water management, and have called for governments to take action. Well, they probably caused the problem too. That's the thing, guys. You go to the same people that caused the problem hoping for a solution. It may not really work. I mean, some of these rules regarding water are insane, you know. The amount of control and influence the state governments have on farmers is ludicrous. They'll like track every single bloody tree. You want to cut down a tree, you need a permit. We all saw the story about the gentleman who did a fire break around his property to protect it because he lost it in the last bushfire, and he got fined $1 million. He followed all the rules. He went to all the bodies. He got all the advice. The government has wasted all this money and time to take him to court for what was about 20 grand worth of wood chip. That was the value of the timber he took down. It was on his land. He cleared it on his land. And guess what happened when the bushfires came through? He was fine. Government. Yeah. So, the Australian Bureau of Agricultural and Resource Economics and Sciences report has revealed prices for fruit and vegetables are set to skyrocket over the coming months. The analysis of the nation's horticulture industry forecasts the cost of palm fruit such as apples, pears, summer vegetables, stone fruit, and table grapes could rise by as much as 7 to 29%. But Speak Up campaign chair Lachlan Marshall said the price hikes could be exacerbated by an inability to grow food due to poor water policy and management. The pandemic has highlighted the fragile nature of our food supplies, he said. Australia has been forced to import more dairy products and wheat, and with zero water allocations, there was virtually no Australian rice crop last year, and as a result, we've exhausted domestically grown rice. Australian families need to understand that their budgets will be under increased strain from staple food prices if governments do not get proactive and start doing more to support food production. Well, the RBA will be happy. They'll get to see that inflation they always want. They might actually hit their target. And this is going to affect the poorest most. Probably the people that have been decimated by the lockdowns, everyone. Fantastic, isn't it? Australia, guys, the country where they'll throw money at housing and then people can't even afford to buy food. One suggestion I would put, at least for us buying our beef, is to try and buy it in bulk, but even that is getting expensive. The Speak Up campaign, which aims to be a voice for rural communities on water policy since being founded in 2015, has called for more transparency around water management decisions and the implementation of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. They have also campaigned for locals to be key to decision-making and want a basin plan that delivers for communities, the environment, and food security. Mr. Marshall said the increased quantities of water being sent downstream had sacrificed water reliability in the nation's food bowl. He said it had led to many farmers walking off the land and resulted in others unable to produce as much food for Australian and international consumption. He said farmers needed solutions that returned effective water back to irrigation communities. There's an assumption irrigators are asking for more water. We're not asking for more water, we're asking for access to water we're entitled to under our allocation, Mr. Marshall said. We're not asking for the environment to give up water, quite the opposite. What we need to see is a holistic approach that protects our environment but also returns reliability to people who use that water to grow the nation's food. He said until that occurred, Aussie families would continue to be hit with higher prices for their fresh and staple foods. And this is showing you how ideological driven environmental policy can cost you money. Okay? You may sit there in a city not actually understanding the implications of what you're advocating for, and you feel good and happy, but it's going to manifest like this. And the people who won't be able to bear the burden will be the poorest of the poor. And then what they will do is they'll have to resort to even cheaper and crappier foods, and that will exacerbate their health issues, decreasing their quality of life, and putting an additional burden on our healthcare system. Brilliant. The circle of life, and the socialists are happy. They think they're actually doing something good. People don't really understand the consequences. They don't. The Greens guys aren't the good guys. Okay, you got to realize that. They're going to make your food cost more, they're going to reduce people's freedoms, and they're going to take away. Take away. They're going to send you backwards. But you can feel good. The ABARES report blamed the food price increase on the lack of overseas backpackers and working holiday makers due to the pandemic. Well, there you go. It has forecast the drop in fruit production by as much as 17%, and vegetable production by about 2% due to a lack of labor to harvest crops. Fruit prices are expected to rise most as fruit production is likely to be most adversely affected by reduced labor supply, but the higher than average fruit prices are not expected to occur until well into autumn. National Farmers Federation Horticultural Council Executive Officer Tyson Cattle said growers were in desperate need of harvest labor and had been for the better part of a year. Horticulture was predicted to be the growth industry as part of our $100 billion goal by 2030 for Australian agriculture, he said. However, if we can't access an efficient, competent and reliable workforce to get the crop picking and packed, we will struggle to reach that goal. A critical issue remains that we need to bring in numbers to scale up immediately. The supply of overseas workers on working holiday maker visas fell by 64% in 2020 to 61,000. Well, our unemployment rate is high. I'm sure there'll be people that'll be willing to go there and do that. We don't really have a transient workforce anymore in Australia. I guess, well, you don't have to. Wonder why. I mean, there you have it, everyone. Food prices predicted to skyrocket. Have you seen it manifest already? Is it starting to happen? Let us know in the comments below. The RBA will get their inflation. I'm sure they'll be happy, but the poorest of the poor, they'll be experiencing it. And make sure if you haven't checked out, have a look at this video I did a few years ago. Australia's population growth outstrips our water supply because, well, frankly, yeah, it's you can see every dam in the country. What are used, what are not. And, I'm sure they've increased the capacity of some dams, which is good. But our population growth has grown up even more. And honestly, the data that since then, it's just nuts. The amount of growth in this country it's unsustainable. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.